All right, here we go. Intercontinental Championship. The Miz filling in for Dolph Ziggler. No injury, no suspension, no nothing. I talked about it when I made my review of SmackDown 900. I said that there has to be some story coming out of why The Miz defeated Dolph Ziggler for the Intercontinental Championship on that show, with the Survivor Series already being named as a Raw versus SmackDown match. Sami Zayn going up against Dolph Ziggler. Now it's going to be Sami Zayn going up against The Miz. It was kind of weird that they were already announcing that they were going to have a title match before the pay-per-view match. And Sami Zayn touched on that on Monday Night Raw, basically saying that it didn't matter who it was going to be. He was going to go and compete at the Survivor Series against either The Miz or Dolph Ziggler. And he was going to go out there and he was going to bring the Intercontinental Championship to Monday Night Raw. But I was joking that, Dolph Ziggler, something had to have happened. He had to have got hurt. He had to have, got suspended. He had to quit. He had to have something, because it doesn't really make sense. They've done it before where there's matches before a pay-per-view, but I don't think I've ever seen it where they've done a switch to the pay-per-view when we didn't know long ways before that they were going to do the switch. This was just a surprise. This seemed like it was out of the middle of nowhere. And I know there are stories out there basically saying that Sami Zayn is going to win this match and he's going to take the Intercontinental title to Monday Night Raw because they have 3 hours and they have to have another title. That does not make any sense to me. That just does not make sense. I still think The Miz is going to win this match. I think the Intercontinental Championship will stay with SmackDown. For one, they've already got the WWE Universal Championship on Kevin Owens. They've got the United States Championship on Roman Reigns. Those belts are already being held in the men's 5-on-5 Survivor Series match. They're not on the line. They're not going to be switching to SmackDown. There's no stipulation on that. You've got your tag team titles, which are held by the New Day. They're not going anywhere because SmackDown already has their own tag team titles. They've got AJ Styles as their WWE World Heavyweight Champion. So if your Intercontinental Championship, The Miz, switches over and jumps to Monday Night Raw, I do know that there's a chance that there's a damn good chance. I think everybody knows that the Cruiserweight Championship is going to be coming over. But for the wrestlers that are on SmackDown, just having your WWE World Heavyweight Championship, your Cruiserweight title, and your tag team titles, that's not enough for SmackDown. You gotta have a mid-card to lower card title. Because if you take your Intercontinental title and you move it over to Monday Night Raw, where does that make the belt that Roman Reigns has? Where does Intercontinental Championship and, United States title rank? And who's higher climbing up to the WWE World Heavyweight Championship? Back in the day, we used to have the Hardcore title, and then I think we had the European title, and they sort of battled for, what they were two different things, but they sort of battled for what was the least important title in the company. If you put your Intercontinental Championship and your United States Championship, you're going to clobber up Monday Night Raw's mid-card with too many titles being passed around. And that was the same thing that they had back in the day when you had your Intercontinental Championship, your European Championship, your Hardcore title. Back in the days of the Attitude Era, before they, Eric Bischoff and Storyline reduced all the titles, where he just said, we're just going to go with one title, and that's going to be it. People didn't like that because, you'd have your Undertakers, you'd have your Austins, your Triple H's, your Rocks. Those guys mattered. They were going to be fighting for those championships. But, your mid-card guys, you have to have mid-card matches to fill out a pay-per-view. If there's no championship, they could have a damn good match, but what are they really building towards? Every year, if you're lucky, one guy stretches into the main event, and a lot of times the guy that reaches that main event slot doesn't even really get to stay there, falls down. If you look at a guy like Dolph Ziggler, more than likely, pretty soon, Dean Ambrose, they're going to slip out of their spots. Ziggler fought for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship at SummerSlam, and since then fell down to the Intercontinental title role. If you think about it, maybe Ziggler, maybe Miz can sniff getting into the main event, against a guy like AJ Styles. But how long are they really going to stay there? Especially with somebody like The Undertaker showing up. Maybe that'll get them to WrestleMania in the main event picture. But then after WrestleMania, Undertaker's going to do what Undertaker does, and it's so long, see you later. So in my mind, I know I didn't really break it down all that much. I just think that the easiest way to put it is the championship is not being moved from SmackDown to Raw. The only way that I do think that this is going to happen is in storyline. Stephanie knows that Shane wants to have that championship back for the mid-card guys, for your guys like Jack Swagger, Titus O'Neil, Kurt Hawkins. These guys might not ever sniff the Intercontinental Championship, but that's what these guys, that's what their ceiling is, you know what I'm saying? These guys aren't going to be fighting against AJ Styles anytime soon, but they're fighting to get that mid-card championship slot, and sometimes that belt falls just in the hands of just anybody, and that's what it could be. Maybe they make a trade to send the championship back, thinking that it's not worth something, but maybe they can get something out of it. That's the only storyline that I could see out of it. But when it comes down to it, Sami Zayn not going to be beating The Miz. The Miz will get the win. Championship will stay on SmackDown.